Is it okay to be charging your adult children rent? Now, you've got adult kids in your house, Cole. Do you charge them rent?
No, I don't, actually. They've all offered, you know, because they're still there, and they've all said, you know, we'll give you something every month or every week, but I don't know. I guess because I didn't have to do it when I was a kid, and so I just...
Well, you were the breadwinner, though.
I was
the
just
Nolan
kind of feel,
sisters
well, we were all
the
working as
breadwinners.
kids, yeah, but I don't know, I just feel it... I can't take money off my kids who I decided to have and I decided to bring into the world, and now I'm going, yeah, but now you've got to pay me to keep you. Yeah. And I know they're adults. If they were sitting at home all day, not doing anything, not looking for work, or just being on a, you know, whatever, game station all day, I'd go, right, OK, this isn't on. You've got to go out and work, or you've got to pay me something. But they don't. And what happens is one week they'll go, we'll get the shopping this week. Or things will break in the house and they'll get them fixed, you know. So there's kind of give and take all the way around. But I just can't physically. Even
if they gave it, just not in money.
If they handed me the money, I'd go, I can't. I'd end up spending it on them.
But don't you think if they paid you some money, it would instill some discipline in them about how to save and how to...
But they are disciplined. They're hard workers. They're all trying to get on the... Well, not Kira, because she's only 16, but they're all trying to get on the housing... you know, ladder and all that, which is really hard.
And actually, Cole, that's why we're
taking money off them.
Yeah.
I think, well, they're never going to save. Well, they're trying to save up, you know, deposits for housing.
And that's why we're talking about it today, actually. The Resolution Foundation think tank has said that around half of 18 to 36-year-olds currently rent, and if it carries on going the way it's going, most of these people will basically never afford to be able to buy their own homes until at least in their 40s or perhaps beyond.
Yes, I mean, I have 2 grandchildren who started to work in the last year, and I feel really sorry for them in a way, because by the time they pay their train fares and some food for lunch and things like that, there's very, very little left. And from my own point of view, I mean, in my time, we had to contribute to the household. We didn't have very much money in our house, spare money. And so even when I went to Canada for a year, my mum would write and say, it'd be great if you could send me home some money. So I had to send it even though I wasn't there. But then that was fine, that was then. But I think nowadays, as Coleen said, it's really, really difficult for them to get on the ladder for any kind of housing. But I also, at the same time, I agree with Janet to say that sometimes, you know, the boundaries are set within a household, I mean, to know what bills are going to be like. And I also sometimes think that young people these days are kind of full of too much expectation. No, I want to go to Marrakesh for my holidays. You know, I don't bother to save. You know, they expect to get everything.
They expect to do everything. If they want to go there, then they have to save
I don't blame them for wanting to go.
But like, I see where you're coming from. They've got priorities are, well, I'm never going to be able to afford the deposit of a house or a flat or anywhere to live. House prices have not come down. It doesn't matter what people say. Mortgages are harder to get than ever. So I might as well have fun as save. But at the same time, how do you learn about money? And you need to have savings, not just to have somewhere to live, but for when you get older, God forbid, when you get to my age, you know, unless you have saved something, what are you going to live on?
But the parents that I read about today, these 2 parents that charge their kids rent, they're grown kids, and they charge them £200 a month each to live at the house. And the bit, like at first I thought, oh, well, each to their own, and that's what they're doing, and they're trying to teach the kids a lesson. But the parents are using that money to go on these fabulous holidays.
What does it matter what they use the money for?
Because I just think, I don't know, it's my kids. And I think you're trying to teach them
£50 a week. Find anywhere in the country you can live for £50 a week.
No, you can't.
The parents
but
are doing
at the
them
same
a favour.
time, well, they're not, though, because if they're giving them, that's £200 a month they could be putting into savings to build up a deposit to get a flat or a house.
I think that's a really crucial point, because if you're generous enough, say, not to charge rent or not to expect anything from your kids once they get to that age, at least if you're encouraging them to save a bit, and so that, you know, at some point they might be able to get on the ladder. I mean, when we were buying our very first house, it was 17.5% on the mortgage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, so mortgages, in a way, have never been as cheap as they have been in recent times. And yet, because of various aspects, they still can't get on the ladder. And I know that one of my grandsons pays £800 a month rent. Now, that would go a long way towards a mortgage, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think my attitude to money was instilled in me at 12 years old when my parents said you'll get no pocket money without a whole lot of work. Yeah. So I always associate work with money, get money for work, have to save that money to get... because they just withdrew paying for things and I had to pay for a whole lot of stuff. So when I ran away from home at 18 to live in a shared flat in London, where I had shared a room with somebody else and we all contributed. But I didn't have a problem. I got a job as a waitress. God knows I was the worst one in the world. But I did loads of jobs because I've always had a very clear idea of how to spend money and how to save money.
That's where I'm going wrong, because my kids like me and don't want to run away from home. I need to stop being
Actually, do you know what? And with me, it was the other way around. My parents just moved and didn't tell me where they were going. You know, sadly, that is a true story.